Here is Mr. Moose standing still. I ask for his attention. I switch on the clipper, and here we go. I'm holding his chest with my hand to keep him still because my doggy is in the room with us because he was not happy being outside. Anyways, so he's standing still. I'm doing the same stroke, same movements on the doggy as before to make sure that everything is going to be nice and even. And whenever it comes to the hind leg and family jewels on boys, make sure that you're gonna shield the privates. I'm doing the sides the same way as well, going with the hair grain and following up with the outer side of the neck, the underside of the neck as well, to make sure that everything is beautifully even. At this point, it's very easy. The clipper will run perfectly smooth and you don't have to worry about anything. Mr. Moose wants to turn around, so I'm gonna leave the legs and I'm gonna go to do the left side, whatever he prefers. As long as I can get to most of it, that's gonna be perfectly fine. In case not, then we can always reschedule to do whatever he's not okay with. So I'm doing the same strokes, it's just the other side. I want you to see everything. It's great that he is turning backwards, checking on my chickens, because the neck area gets so stretchy and everything is going to be nice and flat. I'm doing the evening up on the legs and the outer side of the neck as well, and also the belly. Make sure that you know where the belly tie flap is and angle the clipper in a way that you're not going to cut into that. For beginners, I highly recommend you to hold your left hand around the belly tie flap. When it comes to trimming the legs, I like to go all around, and when it comes to the inner area, I just go across the body. You can reach the other side of the doggy from the opposite side as well, but it's a little bit of doggy yoga for you. So I recommend you rather twist the doggy. I'm following it up with a comb, and voila, everything is much more even than before. We are turning around again, whatever the doggy likes. I don't mind. I'm just blocking his opportunity to jump off of the table. We have that little rule that he's not allowed to stand on the white part or around the white part of the table, to make sure that he's going to be nice and safe and he won't slide off. I'm adjusting him a little bit, and I saw some bunches of hair around the neck area that I wanted to even it up, and I'm going back. You can totally go back, it's no big deal, and as long as you are using the same clipper and snap-on comb, blade number, whatever you are using on the body, so it's gonna be even. Adjusting Mr. Moose again, and once he is in the position, then look at that gorgeous coat. We are finding a doggy here. Ooh, somebody made some noise. So I'm holding my fingers, you can't see them, but I'm holding my fingers on the inner side of the belly tie flap to make sure that I know where they are. And since I have these thinning shears, they are blending in the area so beautifully. At this point, in case you're working around the male, then you need to make sure that you're not going to cut into his pee-pee. So keep that in mind. I'm going down a little bit further on the legs, remove the excess hair from the bottom of the paws, and I'm following up the feet so they're gonna be nice and even, yet shaggy looking. That's why I love the thinning shears, and that's why I use them on the legs and head and tail area and feet and ears, because they leave such an awesome shaggy look, and it's extremely easy to use them, and even beginners will take a huge advantage of it. When it comes to do the inner thighs, I had to balance my view, the camera angle, and the doggy's comfort. So you're gonna see me stretching and us stretching quite a lot. But I'm angling the shear this way when it comes to the hind legs on the bottom side, and this is the way I even up the coat with the thinning shear to make sure that it's gonna be the same length all over Mr. Moose. I'm holding the tail away towards the other leg because Moose is loves to wiggle his tail, so I really want to avoid him hitting the shear when it's open, and when I close it, then it's gonna be a huge injury. So that's why I hold the shear away. I'm doing the front leg here, same angle basically, making sure that I'm rounding it up and making them nice and natural looking. I'm holding Moose's chest to make sure that he's gonna stay still. And I'm following up with the feet. I like to remove the hair from around the paws to make sure that the doggy is going to be comfortable. And when it comes to trimming the feet, I love to round it up with this angling. With thinning shears, you're gonna have so easy time. In case you are using a straight shear or a curved shear here and you go a little bit shorter, then that's gonna leave a really straight line, which you can hopefully probably might gonna be able to even up or blend in with thinning shears. But once you are using thinning shears, you're not going to have that issue anymore, even if you go a little bit shorter. So I highly recommend for beginners to use thinning shears. Here we adjust again and doing the other side of the doggy. Now you saw me doing not an absolutely perfectly even job on the legs, because it's the same thing. I'm doing a rough trim around the legs, and I'm gonna comb out everything there, let the doggy go and shake, and put him back on the table again and do a final evening up. In case you are using straight or curved shears on the legs, then you really want to make sure that you are using it parallel with the legs, so that they're not gonna leave lines. When it comes to trimming the paws, I don't really like to go too close towards the paw pads or toe pads with haircut shears like this one, only with the pre-haircut shears, because that's just gonna be much safer. These shears are super sharp, so we want to avoid getting too close towards the skin. Here you see me doing the hind legs with the belly tie flap, and this is how I angle the shear and blend everything in. It's a rough cut for the first time just to set the length, and then we're gonna come back and do a more precise job once we have less hair on the table and combed and brushed out Mr. Moose. So all the hair is going to be fluffy, and whatever is a little bit longer will stick out. This is how I like to shape up the paws, so it's gonna get that fluffy look, but not too long and not too short, because most of the doodle parents don't really like the poodle feet and like to keep the paws nice and fluffy. This is the way I trim the inner thighs. Since I'm using thinning shears, I can go 90 degrees comparing to the legs. In case you are using straight shears, you always need to keep the shear parallel with whatever body part and hair grain you are working on. So in case it's the legs, you need to be parallel with the legs. This angling will leave crazy lines, so don't use the straight or curved shears this way, because that's going to leave incredibly ugly lines. With thinning shears, you should go with the legs, but in case you're going with different directions and angle it a little, it's not going to show any kind of lines or craziness there. You're going to be totally fine with it. Here you see me shaping up the front legs and just trimming a little from the tip to make sure that it's gonna be nice and rounded, but yet not too rounded, so it wouldn't be like poodle looking trim. In case I see something sticking out from the inner thighs, I go back there and trim it off, just so I'm gonna need to trim less when we are coming back to do the final trim. And just by taking a look at the legs after a little bit of combing, you see the difference, how much more even they are, and you're gonna see the parts sticking out way easier, and you're gonna be able to do an amazingly even trim. And we're gonna turn around, and I'm gonna position Mr. Moose, and we're gonna do the front leg. I'm moving his head out of the way, and here I am removing the excess hair from the leg. In case you are using a thinning shear, you can use this direction, what I'm doing. In case you're using a straight or curved shear, you need to be parallel. No, you need to keep it, hold it parallel with the leg. Otherwise, it's going to leave crazy lines and your doggy will look like a barking cactus, and we don't want that. When you are working around the back there, you really need to make sure that you're not cutting that little bump what doggies have around there. So keep that in mind. But we're going to talk about sensitive areas in a separate video. I am repositioning Mr. Moose again so I can get a better view. I'm holding my hand on his belly to make sure that he is not moving anywhere I don't want him to go. He is free to move around the table. I don't mind that, but I want to make sure that he knows that I want him right where he is. We are going back a little, and this way I get a really good access to trim the inner legs, inner front legs. Make sure that you are not cutting the armpit area when you're working on the upper side of the leg. Keep that in mind. It's super, super important. I'm combing the legs to make sure that everything is going to be nice and even eventually. It's not there yet, but I'm combing it out to see anything sticking out. And whenever I see something, I'm going to trim it out. Moose is going to get a good time to do shakes, so the hair will get into the natural positioning and I can adjust the haircut based on that. We are going to turn around again and take a look at the inner thighs to make sure that everything is nice and even there. I'm holding his tail away, out of the way, because he likes to wag his tail and it's going to be in the way. And with these sharp haircut shears, it's not going to be a safe way to go. So everything looks nice and enough to let Mr. Moose do a shake.